Welcome. 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 You know, almost every teacher teaches by stories, tales of what is or who we are, what we are when we are. Robert told a story, said you don't exist. Your body is illusory. There is no you. The world is hallucination. Nobody ever believed him. But usually when he said you don't exist, they'd laugh. Like he told the most funny joke you can think of. But Robert was not that persuasive because he posted no argument to make that story at all believable. Ramana said the same thing. Ramana said so many different things in support of it. From the Ashtavakra Gita to the Ribu Gita to whole bunches of other Upanishads. And everybody around him believed it or wanted to believe it because he was stating the conventional truths of Hinduism, at least vast segments of Hinduism. Nisargadatta was different. He wanted to focus on how do we know what we are? What's the process? Again, he referred to Hindu philosophy, but he selected different things. Always his aim was to get you to experience the I am and the fullness of I am. The state he identified as being Brahman, God. Without I am, the touch of it, there is no knowing that I exist or anything else exists. Amness, you might say, is a quality of I am, of beingness. Without that sense of I am, you don't know that you exist. Without that sense of beingness that first appears in the morning when you first wake up, which Robert calls the gap Without that beingness, the I am does not have a host to support it. So beingness is important for the I amness to be there, and the I amness has to be there before you're aware of yourself as existing or anything else. When you first wake up in the morning, if you can slow it down, the first third of a second you're aware of nothing. Yes, there is a field of visual and sound and body sensation, but there's no knowledge of anything about it or in it. The mind has to enter along with I am before the world exists. But he said other things about the I am. The I am included the knowledge of God. And when the I am arose, knowledge of the self arose, one's own existence, of the body, but also of the external world and God all at once. But rarely does anyone know this when they wake up. Only someone who's had experiences of the identity of God manifest self in the world. Robert called this the state of Brahman, state of being everything, no longer tied to the body, but tied to the feeling, I am, the origin of knowledge, the origin of anything that exists. Nisargadatta said, don't take the point of view that you're an individual lost in a vast universe of infinite dimensions, one small particle of sentience amongst billions of others. But take this point of view, that if it weren't for you, your sense of I am, none of this would exist. That is, you are the center of the universe. Only you are real. The universe around you depends on you. When you go to sleep at night, it disappears, along with your body and along with the mind. And then in the morning, when you begin to wake up, the I am and the mind appear. You can feel them rushing into from your gut to your heart and coming awake. And then the world is. Therefore, both Robert and Nisargadatta says, because you are, the world is. If it weren't for you, there would not be a world. You are, therefore, existentially and ontologically, prior even to the existence of God. It's you that knows God. So, you are a very, very important item in this universe. Don't discount yourself. And when you make this discovery, Nisargadatta called you, oh, Jesus, Kali climbed up my leg. Kali is the most important individual in the universe right now. It's going to take place on my lap, showing her dominance of me. This is all understandable. In a kind of abstract way. But to actually feel it as your own knowledge, your own experience, turns you into something else. You become as God, the totality of sentience. You live with God in you. You live with the magnificence of His light, His power. You observe Him like you do the world. He's part of Brahman, which you are also. But even in your vision of Brahman as being everything, you can also make differentiations on other accounts than the feeling of I am. You can feel God as energy, light, love, power. But within that discrete set of characteristics, you can still feel the feeling I am. And know that you're one. I can feel Kali crawling up my leg. I feel my love for her. I feel her love for me, although a cat feels it differently than humans, I think. And yet realize that that sense of I am is in her the way it is in me. So identify with her. I see all of you out there too. I see you as a parent. I see you as a parent, separate living entities. But at the same time, I'm aware of the I amness in you, the beingness in you, the consciousness is you. And I know you are me in that way, as caring beingness, the I amness within you. And for Nisargadatta, they're slightly different. Somebody's mic is open. And then you stay in this state of being Brahman for some time, enjoying the state of being one with God. And often there develops cities in you. Even Sun Tzu talked about this period after the initial awakening as being a time of illusions. But it's illusory only if you consider the world illusory. and your own existence as a person illusory. And you might ask another question, one that I ask Robert a lot, is how do I get to that state? And Robert prescribed self-inquiry, which is a very dry method. Personally, I love chanting. And when he left to go to Sedona, I practiced nonstop chanting, almost 24/7. And soon I fell into almost a swoon, and then had the shower experience. But prior to the shower experience, I was feeling better and better and happier and happier. I got over feeling the loss of Robert. I had some experiences similar to what I have now which are hard to describe. Feeling the silence of Brahman. Feeling a kind of electricity that didn't move throughout my whole body. Feeling the inner darkness lit. And becoming alive, kind of an orange or blue color, depending on the situation. I was coming alive to myself. And then I had the shower experience, and all boundaries with the universe disappeared. I was one with the universe without a separate sense of self, without a sense of being ed musica. My thoughts became very acute. I was very much aware of them. They were very slow, mostly marveling at my new world of experience. I had entered another room of my own spiritual mansion. The experience of oneness, the experience of constant elation, constant happiness, and the constant invisibility of my own self, because now I was the world, the entirety of Brahman, of the existential world, my body, my life, all is one. Without these experiences, the philosophy is shit. And you have to be able to speak from these states in order to make it real for others. And in order to make it real for others, not only have you speak from this state, but you have to be able to convince others that your experience is true and that they can have it because it's within them to have it. That's why I train teachers, so that they can articulate where they are, wherever they are, even though they're not awakened. At least they can talk about inner processes and outer processes very convincingly. Then others, like Mary, have exploded into Brahman. And she doesn't know what to do with it yet, because her old world is destroyed and she doesn't have a framework or her new life yet outside of habit. I love you all. I feel your presence. I appreciate your existence as my own. And may this flame burn in you for a decade or more. Or you have so much energy of the life divine burns in you, purifying you, and you purify all those around you by your presence, like Mary does, like Mark does, like Maxie does. And soon the whole world is on fire with divine love. It becomes one big, what was that name? Oshowville, this town up in Oregon that Osho had, Rajneeshburg or something like that, where the world is full of spiritual people who feel themselves, explore others' beingness, and there's sort of happiness everywhere, but with an underlying elements of insanity everywhere also, because they haven't yet distinguished between the real and the illusion, because they haven't really totally experienced the I am. This is the most important step. And Nisargadatta himself admits it. It's a two-phase process, enlightenment. First is to become one with beingness, with the I am. And after you've found out you're God and the universe is created by you, for this part of you, this consciousness, this beingness, to gradually be absorbed into nothingness. Where this I amness is taken away from you. Even the bliss is taken away. Awareness of the world is taken away. Awareness of yourself is taken away. But it's so peaceful. It's so peaceful and welcoming that you don't feel at a loss in any way. The happiness gradually, slowly turns to bliss, turns to a kind of peace that you didn't know existed. But the first step of realizing yourself, the I am, as a center of the world, and that it has nothing to do with the body, is the most important step. Because at that point, you realize that your consciousness, your spirit, and all the material world around you is just being observed and visited by you. But it has nothing to do with you. Therefore, the death of the body means nothing. because you are not dead by the death of the body, although you do disappear as consciousness by the death of the body. But you don't identify with the body. The whole problem in spirituality is one of having too many concepts and too much identifying with the objects in consciousness, whether it's with the body or even with the I am, or with a school of thought like Rajneeshism or whatever religion you belong to. There are so many spiritual entities, and you have to leave them all behind and feel kind of happy that you're not carrying them around. It's like the happiness that Vesselina will feel when she gives up seeking being a doctor, either by becoming a doctor or saying, this shit isn't for me. And she just walks away happy without the burden of doctorhood over her. No. The process of losing identification is a tough one. It's not easy. It's not easy because you don't know how. You don't even know what identification is until one of them breaks in you, like identification with the body. You see very definitely that you're not your body. You understand definitely you're not your body. You're that which perceives the body. And that which perceives the body is the I am sense. And when the I am sense itself disappears, for a bit, you're everything in the whole universe. You're no longer localized in a body-mind. The identification with I am disappears, and all that there is left over is the universe. Now, you can make a mistake and identify with the totality and go around telling everybody, I'm God, I'm Brahman. And end up in enforced intervention by means of institution or psychotherapy endlessly to get you back into the mundane mind. Or else you become a wandering saint, like in India. I forget the name of them. The ones that have no concept that they exist anymore. And they go through the most bizarre actions. Mark, do you know the term for them? Max? Avadut.
Avadut.
Yeah, Avadut. I think Muktananda mentioned one who rolled cigarettes down the street with his nose. He just liked doing it. He couldn't explain why. Others make musical videos because they're idiots. They don't know why they do it. They just like doing it. God, I love you all. I don't know whether you can ever feel it yourself. This love for everyone else. how powerful it is, how unifying it is, how much peace it gives you. Now I turn it over to you. I want to talk to you. Tell me about what's going on inside of you. Maybe even what your understanding is of what I talked about. And there's no way to avoid me. I'm going to call on you. You can just shine me on. Or you can say something. Mary.